everyone, welcome back to N.O.A the Explorer. I'm Dr. Akaranu, and I am an adult, child, and adolescent psychiatrist, and I will be continuing my discussions on the Inpatient Psychiatry unit in this video. So you've come to the inpatient unit, you've met the treatment team at least once, and now you're on the unit and you're wondering what is happening. Typically, you'll have a schedule. Sometimes that schedule is written down for you. Sometimes they put the schedule on a board. I've seen chalkboards on the unit where they just write the schedule for the day. And sometimes you just verbally have to ask what's going on, and hopefully someone will tell you. Typically, the nurses will be able to tell you what's happening for the day. And you have some therapeutic programming going on throughout the day on the unit. What's unique about an inpatient psychiatry unit is that you are supposed to have group therapy, at least 1 or 2 therapy sessions in a group setting throughout the day. It's hard to have individual therapy on the unit. Sometimes I will do individual therapy sessions, maybe brief psychotherapy sessions with patients. So after the treatment team meeting, I can come back on a case-by-case basis or on an as-needed basis to do some more interventions with each individual patient depending on what they need. However, that's not typically the case to have individual one-on-one therapy sessions. Usually on an inpatient unit, it's in a group session. I have rotated on an inpatient psychiatry unit that did have individual therapy sessions, and that's the inpatient unit that had the psychiatrist, a psychologist, and a therapist, separate from psychiatry, psychology, social work, separate therapist for each patient. I thought that was very cool, and it was really helpful to be able to see that because I thought to myself, so all the hospitals I rotated at, we could have been doing this. Why don't they do this at every hospital? Sometimes, you might have that if you go to one of those private hospitals that have all those resources, but generally it's a group setting. You will have art therapy, pet therapy, recreational therapy, music therapy, group talk therapy, group skills groups. So it really just depends on the hospital. The therapists come up with programming for the unit, and then they give the schedule of when that will be happening. You will typically be encouraged to come out and attend all the programs, even if you don't feel like it'll be helpful to you. Sometimes just the socialization aspect of showing up to each group activity is helpful for each patient. However, nobody's going to force you or drag you out of your room to attend those things. But it's typically encouraged because it's part of the treatment, and the more you participate in treatment, the goal is that the better you feel and you'll be closer to discharge. Sometimes on a case-by-case basis or on a general basis, the inpatient psychiatry unit will have family meetings or family therapy sessions. Again, that really depends on the hospital and how much staff they have. If I'm working on an inpatient unit that has 24 beds, I may not do family sessions with every patient. However, if I'm working on an inpatient unit that has 6 beds and 6 patients, chances are I'm doing family sessions with each patient. So again, it really just depends on how stretched thin the staff is, and we try to do the family sessions for the patients that will benefit the most from them. I do think a family session is helpful for all patients. However, sometimes patients decline, and if you tell me you don't want to do a family session, that's fine. I'm not going to make you do a family session. Typically though, people want to do the family session. It's just that sometimes, we may not have time to fit it in, and we might have to do it over the phone or do it virtual, especially now post-pandemic. It's becoming more and more common to do some virtual sessions and phone call sessions, whereas before the pandemic, in my training, we did everything in person. Sometimes people's families are far away. I've had patients who had to be transported 4 hours to the nearest inpatient psychiatry unit. A family session is not going to be possible if your family is 4 or 5 hours away. So virtual sessions are helpful. We can do phone calls. We can put the phone on speaker and do a conference call with you in the room and whoever you choose to be in there with you for your family session. So family session doesn't have to be a parent. It could literally be anyone that is close to you and cares about you and is going to be helpful in your recovery. We'll do a session with them. Sometimes that can happen as well on the inpatient psychiatry unit on a day-to-day basis. So it really just depends on the hospital and what your schedule is going to look like for the day. You shouldn't be surprised by a family session. Honestly, we need your permission before we talk talk to anyone, which leads me to my next point about privacy and confidentiality. Typically, we have to tell you because everybody has a right to confidential and private treatment. And on an inpatient unit, specifically, all the other patients have a right to confidentiality and private treatment. So if you're on the unit and you're in a group session and people are sharing, please do not share that information with the public or with anyone else. We also advise against giving out phone numbers, personal emails, addresses to the other patients on the unit. It's not uncommon to find that you have things in common with other patients and you want to hang out with them after you get discharged, but most inpatient units typically will not allow you to share those phone numbers or personal details for your safety and the safety of the other patients. If we do find out that something like that is happening, I mean, we can't stop you from memorizing phone numbers, but if it is on a piece of paper, you might have that piece of paper taken away. Now, that goes without saying that the staff members on the inpatient unit should not be spreading your personal medical information. So you deserve a right to confidentiality also from the staff members. Nobody should be exposing your private medical records, and that should not really make it anywhere beyond your treatment team meeting, beyond the inpatient unit. Only anyone that has access to your information is someone involved directly in your care, and that's it, okay? So in wrapping up the day-to-day activities on the unit, I really want to encourage you, or anyone watching if you have a loved one on the unit, to encourage them to participate in the activities. You never know which one is going to help you. You never know how you're going to respond to each activity. So it's just generally a good idea to just participate in everything. Sometimes the routine of waking up and doing the same things on a day-to-day basis is actually very helpful in the treatment. It's not uncommon to have people say outside the hospital, everything was disorganized, chaotic, but then inside the hospital, having a set schedule and a set plan for the day really just helps you with all the sensory overload that is happening in your environment before you came in the hospital, and just giving you a safe space to talk through some of those thoughts and work through some of those things. That is it for the day-to-day of the inpatient psychiatry unit and what to expect when it comes to that. I will continue my discussions about the inpatient psychiatry unit in my next video. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and the notification bell so that the next time I upload the next video, you will be the first to know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.